Hi guys, back at it again with another video, and today's video is going to be a little bit different because I don't have my webcam on me at the moment, so I'm literally using my iPhone to record my video and audio right now, and I can barely see what's even on my screen. I have a mirror in front of my phone to kind of show what's showing on screen, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. But that's not going to stop us, obviously. Basically, the state of the 2020 Democratic race. Again, apologies for the inconvenience, but let's go ahead and do this. So it's starting to look like a two-way race nationally between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Biden with just under 30 points or percent. Yep, that's percent. Biden with just under 30% and Sanders with 20%, just about. With I think this is the highest Sanders has ever been. If we just take a look at the historical polls, I do want to say, okay, this is not the highest that Sanders has ever been since Real Clear Politics started tracking percent back in December of 2018. So this is not the highest that Sanders has ever been, and actually not even the closest of where Sanders has been in comparison to Biden. But yeah, the last time we saw Sanders this high was back in March/April, where Sanders had like 20+% there for a while. And that was also at the same time the closest he had ever been to Joe Biden. So that's very interesting information. And that's actually pretty funny. The race is now kind of how it started, with Biden and Sanders close to each other, and then the rest of the candidates kind of starting to trail off a bit. But not too much. Elizabeth Warren is only 6 points behind Bernie Sanders at 14. And then Buttigieg, now this is where it really starts to fall off. Buttigieg with half of Warren at 7.7%. That is a 7 gap. That's a 6% gap between second and third place, and a 7% gap between third and fourth place. And then of course we have Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg, can't quite count him out with how much he's already so far shown to be willing to spend in the, not even like a general election. Like, he's spending general election kind of money before the primaries even begin. Like, this is just insane. So Bloomberg, obviously has already spent over 100 million on ads, so he earns himself just under 6% nationally for, what is it, like 125, 130 million spent on TV ads at this point. It's just ridiculous. And then we have Andrew Yang at 3.5%, our boy, Andrew Yang. Like I said in the past, nationally isn't going to matter too much. What will matter is nationally after the early states come and go. Because right now, Yang isn't, really known nationally because he's focusing his ads on early states like Iowa and New Hampshire right now, internet and TV ads. He's not like Bloomberg, where he has the type of money to start airing TV ads and internet ads all across the country. So this is why, at least when it comes in relation to Andrew Yang, and especially with his name recognition still being low, this is why I don't really pay attention too closely to how Yang is doing nationally. But yeah, next we have Klobuchar with 3 under Yang nationally, but still qualifying for the January debates before him. Go figure. And then the rest of the candidates are kind of not really, like Gabbard. She's still hanging in there, but I expect her honestly to drop in the race sometime, I want to say before the early states conclude. And I think even then that's being generous. If she still stays in the race, I would be very, very surprised, especially if she stays in the race up until Super Tuesday. And then Steyer, another billionaire in the race, but not really. I guess his ads just don't have quite the effects that Bloomberg has. Especially with Bloomberg, I think he's already spent twice of what Steyer has spent already. I'll have to fact check that. But yeah, every other candidate, Booker, Delaney, and everyone under not really worth writing home about. So that's how our candidates are doing nationally as of January 7th, 2020. Taking a look at Iowa, well, it looks like a four-way race, and obviously, this is why I think the media aren't only going to look at the top three. Like, usually, the media only care about how candidates do in the top three, but this time around, obviously, I'm pretty sure they're going to care about more than that, because Sanders with 22%, Buttigieg with 21.7%, Biden with 20.3%, and Warren with 15.3%. It looks to be a four-way race in Iowa right now. So I think what the media are going to do, depending on if Klobuchar starts rising too, who is at 7%, I think they're going to start focusing on the top 4/top 5, because yeah, I do not see them only covering the top 3, especially when someone like Warren, who is part of the establishment, ends up out of the top 3. They're probably going to still want to cover her. So at the very least, I think they'll cover top 4. And yeah, basically, obviously, I am rooting for Andrew Yang. Everyone should know that. So I'm going to talk about my expectations for Yang. And what I think he needs to do is place top 5 in Iowa to start gaining momentum, like serious momentum across the entire country, and for the states to follow after Iowa. A top 5 placing. Right now he's behind Booker apparently, but I just think that's simply untrue. And so yeah, he's behind Booker and Klobuchar in Iowa right now. Like I said, I don't think the polls are completely, well, first of all, it was the very last poll was a 2% from CBS/YouGov. YouGov is pulling some shady stuff in the background when it comes to Yang support. I'll cover it briefly. Basically, they are taking out or restructuring Yang supporters because apparently too many new Yang people, or too many new accounts were signed up on YouGov that were voting towards Yang, and now they're like, who knows what Yang's real support could be. I just don't trust YouGov anymore. I would bet a lot of stuff that Booker definitely does not finish ahead of Yang in Iowa. So, yeah, I think Yang needs top 5. It's going to be a close one with Klobuchar because obviously she has the whole establishment and media propping her up whenever, I guess, it's needed. And also she does have the advantage of going to the January debates, which I believe, unless a miracle happens, we do need to start facing a reality where, we don't make the January debates. And I think the Yang campaign will be prepared for that. But yeah, Klobuchar at 7%. It's going to be, top 4 is breakable. Like, we could break into the top 4, but I think we definitely will break into the top 5 in Iowa. We have some things to look forward to. Right now, Yang Week is going on. A lot of people signed up for that. People like me are staying in Iowa from, like the middle of January until all the way until the Iowa caucus finishes. So there's people like me. I'm not the only one who's staying in Iowa until the very end. Shout out to all of you amazing people for being able to fund me through GoFundMe to be able to even do that. But yeah, I think Yang has important announcements planned for the month of January, aka this month as well. Hopefully, it's not exactly gonna equal, the how valuable being at the debates are, but I'm sure the Yang campaign can make up for lost ground there. And yeah, everyone behind Yang, I don't expect Steyer to really, I don't know anyone who's gonna caucus for Steyer, seriously, no. The people who are gonna be enthusiastic at the caucus, important to note that Iowa is a caucus, not a primary, but I'm sure everyone already knew that. But it's important because enthusiasm is important, and participation is so important when it comes to caucuses. So I know Sanders supporters are going to be enthusiastic, and Yang supporters are going to be enthusiastic at the caucus, and maybe Warren. As for people that I think could be yanged, aka swayed, I think Buttigieg and Biden supporters and Klobuchar supporters could be swayed at the caucuses. Like, we could literally be yanging people at the caucus. Like, think about that. Just with the Yang Gang, like, people in the Yang Gang are, I know quite a few, I know at least 2 people that tattooed something related to the campaign on their bodies. And if they're willing, if we're willing to do that, if we have people in the Yang Gang that are willing to do that, then I'm pretty sure people will come out to caucus. But yeah, everyone else is pretty much not worth mentioning when it comes to Iowa and New Hampshire. We have what looks like a clear 4-way race at the moment again. We have Sanders at 22.7%, Biden at 18.7%, Buttigieg at 17.7%, and Warren at 14.7%. I want to mention, before I continue, it's going to be obvious that the establishment darlings, aka Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren, I think they're going to underperform in the Iowa, New Hampshire, and I think that's kind of gonna mess with the establishment or the DNC's plans. And I think after Iowa, New Hampshire, Biden and Warren are going to be weakened because they're not taking first place, and at this rate, I don't think they're taking second or third place either. Actually, maybe one of them will take third place, but just think about how many people actually think Joe Biden's going to take Iowa, or Elizabeth Warren could take Iowa or New Hampshire. I just don't think they will win it. I think at the very least they could be top 3, but yeah, people are going to be shocked when they see how high Yang places in Iowa, New Hampshire, and just how high Sanders places in Iowa, New Hampshire. Excuse me. But yeah, looking at the rest of New Hampshire, I think I'm going to stop this video at New Hampshire, actually, because it is getting quite long. Actually, I don't even know how long the video is, but it feels long. But yeah, clear 4-way race right now with Sanders on top. As we remember, in the 2016 election, Bernie Sanders lost Iowa narrowly, like by 0.02% to Hillary, and then actually won New Hampshire, so he bounced back there, if memory recalls. So it seems like the people still have love for Sanders after 2016, and yeah, I can see Sanders taking New Hampshire. And this is a state where Andrew Yang, I think he's gonna bet it all on. I think Andrew Yang understands that he only needs a top 5, maybe breaking into top 4 territory placing in Iowa. And I think Yang understands that New Hampshire is the real deal, like the one where he truly has to shock and place top 3. Now, it may seem impossible with this, with how Yang and Klobuchar and Gabbard and Steyer are all kind of close to each other, and even Booker are kind of close to each other. But I think, and I think what the campaign thinks is that, and what they're betting on is that a top 5 placing in Iowa, beating out Klobuchar can't be that hard. A top 5 placing in Iowa could be just enough momentum, maybe even top 4 in Iowa, depending on how the caucus goes, of course, and how our numbers are looking closer and closer. But like I said, a surprise top 5 in Iowa could hopefully be enough momentum to get a top 3 New Hampshire. And after that is where I do believe the ball starts rolling for the Yang campaign. But right now, of course, it looks like an impenetrable wall of top 4 candidates. But you never know. Historically, Iowa, if we're looking historically, like I said, Iowa still hasn't quite made up their minds. And then I think Yang could easily place top 5 and even top 4 in Iowa. Shock the media establishment there, shock the people, carried over New Hampshire, top 3, maybe top 2 if the hype and enthusiasm and momentum's high enough, and then kind of smooth sailing towards a shock in Nevada. I know Yang campaign wants to shock there, And who knows what happened in South Carolina. Watch them finally release some polls after Yang doesn't qualify. I'm calling it. That's what they're going to do. But yeah, hopefully some polls come out soon so we can more properly, because we have 3 polls for national, Iowa and New Hampshire. Well, actually national. We have a few. We have like nationally, we have 6 polls in like the last month, which is absurd. Iowa, we have just 3 polls in the last month, and New Hampshire, we have 3 polls in the last month and a half. Jeez, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm gonna stop in New Hampshire because I think the video is going on for a while. But yeah, that was my first edition of the state of the 2020 Democratic primary race. I'm gonna call it something like that. And yeah, hopefully next time I do have a webcam. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you're watching this in a day, I hope you have a good day. And if you're watching this tonight, I hope you have a good night. Hope you all enjoyed. I've been Detective Lewis. And yeah, Yang Yang. I will see y'all later. Peace.